Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Katie Schomberg, and I am here to join you in this mindfulness space to talk about breathwork. Focus on the type of breathwork I teach. I hold groups at the yoga studio as well as teaching online and events in other locations as well. So I want to just kind of start with the word breathwork. I actually looked it up. I think it's really important to understand the word and the impact that it has on us, the truth of the word, whatever it is. So I wanted to just start by looking up the word breathwork and sharing that definition with you. And the word breathwork means conscious, controlled breathing done especially for relaxation, meditation, or therapeutic purposes. And it most definitely is that. In my yoga training, there was, a big part of our training was about breath work, the breath during our movement from posture to posture. That's a breath work practice. There are various breathwork practices that you may have taken part in a yoga class. Some are meant to heat up the body, some are meant to cool the body, some are meant to bring balance. The particular breath work that I teach is it's a basic 2-part pranayama. And in yoga, I think it's also good to just understand and have the knowing that in yoga, when they talk about your prana, which is your breath, that, equals in English life force. So our prana, which is our breath, holds such power in our bodies. And if we can learn and tune in and begin to practice like that reconnection to breath, whether it's just, walking through the grocery store, whether it is in a specific type of practice, whether it's, you find yourself in an argument or an encounter with another individual, and instead of reacting, pausing and checking in with your breath first, it holds such power. And for myself, once I really started the practice of pausing and breathing, no matter what is going on, everything shifted. And so what I want to share with you today is the practice that I teach. It is my teacher, his name is David Elliott. This is just a breathwork healing practice. And so I thought I would share my definition of this particular practice, as well as a few things that my teacher shares in one of the books that he's written. And so I'm going to share my understanding of this practice with you. And I'm actually just going to read it so I don't leave anything out. So breath work it's an active meditation. This practice, like I said, it's a 2-part breath, and it is an active meditation, meaning in some meditative practices, it's really about stillness and not, engaging the body too much and relaxing the mind. And what I mean by engaging the body, like movement within the body. It's kind of moving from our brain into the wholeness of who we are and kind of taking the physical out of it, the mental out of it. For this particular practice, why it's so helpful for maybe if you're new to meditation, if you find that sitting still is difficult for you, you've tried maybe different things. I have seen this practice really work for, those people as well. So this is an active meditation. It encourages your body to relax your thinking mind, otherwise known as your conscious mind, and become still. It enables access to your subconscious. So our subconscious is where our habits live. This is where these activities that we do on a daily basis, they reside in this area of our mind. We don't have to think about it. These are just things we do. Sometimes you may find yourself doing something, you're like, why am I doing this? It is because it is stored in your subconscious as something that you do. The beauty in all of this, and sometimes what might feel challenging, is that yes, we can change these subconscious patterns, but it requires work on our part. It requires us to continue to show up. It requires us to choose differently, because those subconscious patterns are pretty deeply rooted. They could be from childhood. They could be from, you know, things that we saw in our life that we just kind of somehow through osmosis began taking in and doing as patterns. They could come from traumas and wounds that we've experienced through, you know, our lifetime. They can come from anywhere. The amazing part is that our mind is like this moldable, substance that we actually can create new patterns in our brain and stop these habits that we don't like, you know, these subconscious beliefs. We can shift them, but it requires us to, again, choose differently. It requires us to show up and do the work. It most likely is not going to occur on its own. We have to like recognize, you know, awareness is the first step. So we have to recognize that we are doing whatever it is we're doing and choose differently. So when you're breathing this 2-part breath, it enables you to access the subconscious without you really even realizing it. This is the space within each of us that holds those old patterns, habits, belief systems that can cause us to feel stuck. Like we just, sometimes you may wonder, you know, why do I just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over? It is because of these subconscious patterns, beliefs. And like I said, we can change them, but we have to actively participate in this choice. When we bring awareness to this part of our being, to this part of our person, our soul, via this, what I call a somatic release, which is this type of breath work that I teach, healing happens. The shift happens. We begin to feel lighter, clearer. We begin to feel more freedom in our voice, in our chest, in our breath, in our gut, where safety and worthiness and wholeness live. All of this begins to feel more in sync and just more free. And it's a really beautiful thing. This energetic shift that happens when we take part in a consistent breathwork practice, it happens automatically, like where there is no thinking. What's so beautiful about this practice is that it takes you from the thinking mind directly into the heart. When you participate in a group with me, so whether that's at the yoga center or online or at another location, we breathe for about 35 minutes. And it's funny, every time I hold a group, somebody raises their hand and says, is it normal for it to feel like that lasted 5 minutes? And I said, yes, it is, because we get out of our thinking mind and directly into our heart. It's like this really amazing experience of what true embodiment feels like. And so when you're practicing on your own at home, and we're actually going to walk through a 7-minute practice in just a little bit, the feeling, it may feel different than it does in a group. Sometimes people release and have more emotions when they're by themselves. Sometimes it's less. I tend to, the energy of a group is really healing to me in this particular practice. So whether when I practice at home and when I'm doing it on my own, it's more of a balancing practice. It's more of a meditative practice. And when I practice in a group, it's more of a healing and releasing practice. So you can kind of pull it into your walk, into your life, any way that feels best to you. There's not a right or wrong. So when we practice this breath work, we have these automatic release, you know, kind of things that happen within our body. I thought I would like try to explain this in sort of a very short and simple way. But as we move through our world, as we move through our days, as we move through our life, things happen. People say things. We may have these, you know, reoccurring patterns that we're living out. You know, we may have a traumatic event, whatever it may be. So if we are not feeling the experiences as they happen, I don't know if you've ever heard that phrasing, feel it to heal it, but it really is true. And so much a part of this culture is teaching us to not feel like our feelings are wrong, which is so untrue. We have to feel it. We have to recognize it. We have to sit with it. We have to feel it for it to leave our body. And so what happens when we're not feeling this stuff, it keeps, we keep, living, we keep walking through our world and things keep happening. And, what happens is it gets stuck in our bodies. I don't like to think of it as a block because that feels very unmovable. It's just all energy, and the energy can get stuck. We have our energy centers, our chakra centers, it can get stuck in different areas of our body. And so maybe I know, like in my own journey of healing, I've had to work a lot on my throat chakra because I know I'm, meant to be speaking more and sharing more and using my voice. And as a little kid and as growing up in the culture and the environment I did, there was a lot of the understanding that children should be seen and not heard. And so even though it's like those words weren't always spoken over me, it was something that I felt. And I began to really get quiet. And I began to stuff whatever it was that I needed to share or speak. I began to do a lot of writing, which was, thank goodness, I had the wherewithal to pull my pencil out and start writing in journals, because it was really one of the only means of communication that felt safe for me as a little kid. And so, take that into adulthood. And honestly, it wasn't until I started having children that I began to realize that I had a lot of anger inside of me that was due to me not speaking up. And so I've had to really actively love and nourish and support my throat chakra. This breathwork practice has been so healing for me because of some of the release moments that, we walk through as we move through this practice. And it's automatic. Like, you don't have to think about it. It's quite amazing to participate in. So I'm excited to share this with you. This particular breathwork practice supports you in reprogramming and releasing of limiting beliefs, behaviors, habits that, again, can make you feel almost stuck in your life. It is beautiful at improving energy levels. It's helpful in addiction recovery. It's really helpful in releasing and relieving mental, physical, emotional stressors, releasing anxiety and depression, processing and releasing of grief, healing a family lineage, reconnecting to your internal spirit, that innate wisdom that we all have. It's really awesome at bringing in clarity, deepening your spiritual connection, and revealing and nurturing your own intuitive giftings, because we all have them. And sometimes, just the layer, I call it life layers, the layers of life that have just sort of piled on us, and we haven't spent the time to dive in and really begin to release them. This particular practice is really helpful. And our group time, if you decide you want to come to a group, you can expect to leave feeling lighter and clearer. You can expect to feel the energy in your body as it's shifting and moving. These are things that maybe you've felt before, but maybe they're brand new experiences. For a lot of the people that have come to my groups at the yoga center, it's been a brand new experience. It's been, for some, honestly, a little uncomfortable. For others, very powerful and embodying. All that to say, whatever your experience is exactly what you are needing to have in that moment. And it's that trust piece, I think, that's really, really important, to trust your timeline, trust your path. Our healing journeys are forever. It's like this lifetime choice of showing up in a new way and activating and, kind of upgrading our consciousness as we move through our life. And, I look at that and I'm thankful. There's not a finish line. Nobody's running. Nobody's, actively having to push and make something happen. You can just relax into the practice of your breath work and allow these things to just release in their own time. You can also expect that you will feel very aligned on this deep soul level, even if you may not recognize it at first. It's like your internal nervous system, soul system knows. And I have found that when I have questions, when I feel uncertain, when I feel unclear about what is needed, what is coming, what is next, if I will just spend some time breathing, I have a lot of clarity that pours in. and my yeses get clearer and my no's get clearer, and it's like there's less gray area, which feels very empowering as you move through your walk. So when you choose to practice this, and I've talked about it a little bit, you can definitely practice this form of breathwork meditation on a daily basis. I had someone ask that this past time that I taught a group, how do you, because when we're in a group together, we breathe for about 35 minutes. When you practice on your own, maybe you breathe for 35 minutes, but more likely you're going to breathe for less, just because of life and what you have going on. And so you can even start with what we're going to do today is a 7-minute practice. It's a great place to start. Even if you laid on the floor, because my practice is done lying down, even if you chose to lay down and breathe for 3 minutes, like that in and of itself is powerful. There's not a right or wrong. There's like, how do we let this absorb and become a part of our life, so that it's this new groove in our brain that we're forming, this new habit, this new pattern, because it really does make a huge difference. So a 3-minute practice, a 7-minute practice, 11-minute, a 22-minute, you can take it all the way to the 35. But there are many ways to bring this into your world. We are actually I love putting together playlists for breathwork groups. It's something that makes me very happy. You can find my playlist on Spotify. Just look my name up, Katie Schomberg, and I have lots of playlists listed if you want to use any of those. You can also make your own, listen to something. If you have a sound healing practice that you love and you have it recorded, listen to that. There's not, again, a right or wrong way to do this. The shift that happens in your nervous system by reconnection to breath is invaluable. You will feel different in your life. You will begin to respond differently. There will become less reactivity in your world if you are reconnecting to breath on a daily basis. It is scientific. You can go and Google and find all kinds of information. Regardless of this type of breathwork practice, it's just hugely beneficial for health and well-being overall. And today, like I said, we're going to move through a 7-minute breathwork practice, which is honestly, when I'm doing it on my own, the most I usually do, unless I feel like I really need to release something, which I can, after practicing this for a while, I know when I'm in that space. I will then and only then do a 35-minute at home. Normally I'm in an 11 to 22-minute practice, in my daily life. But yeah, you can choose. The choice is yours. You don't have, again, there's not a right or wrong way, and I want to empower you to just choose. And so I wanted to read, my teacher has written a couple of books. This one's called Healing. And that's really what this practice is about. This practice is a specific practice that is focused on healing. And I believe personally that we already know exactly what we need. Our bodies know exactly what we need. And if we can ever choose to slow down enough to reconnect to breath, our bodies will heal themselves. And so that's one of the reasons I love this practice so much. So I wanted to just share a couple of passages with you, and then we're going to breathe and you'll get to experience it. So I'm going to start here. He says, the key to healing and the key to everything, health, well-being, life, spirit, connection, faith, and enlightenment, is about you being able to love. If you don't like you, you cannot love you. This is ground zero, the starting point for your work. So that is really what happens when you breathe in this practice is, again, it takes you from your head space to your heart space, and things, when you shift and you're able to really somatically release the heaviness that life has maybe layered on, love, it's like it really, truly, it grows within. It expands. You begin to feel lightness. And so your heart doesn't feel as heavy. If you've ever experienced grief, which most of us have, that is really a heavy emotion. It is a must for us to work through and walk through, but it's heavy. And sometimes we don't want to feel that all the time, you know, if we've had the loss of a loved one or whatever it may be. And one of the big parts for myself and my own healing journey has been just the release of layers of grief that I didn't even know were still in there. Yes, I mean, I lost my dad. It's 5 years ago this next month. And, you know, you definitely grieve and you feel the things, but then the stuff gets stuck in there. It seems like so silly and simple to say, but it's true. It's like, and it's so deep and wounding. But what happens when I have been able to breathe in this practice is I've really been able to let go of things I didn't even know were in there still. Nothing in your life is going to bear fruit until you learn to love yourself and make contact with your heart and the love that flows through it. You have to learn to feel love for yourself. You have to be able to feel the smiles for yourself in your heart. Self-love connects you to everyone and everything. Once you love yourself, you can effectively move out into the world and love others. Love makes you universal. It's the foundation, by which to understand life. It connects you to the masters who walked the earth. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It will begin to make sense when you have learned to love yourself. It cannot happen if you do not. For love to exist in the world, it has to happen inside of you first. I 100% believe that. You know, we hear all the time, love your neighbor, love, you know, and it's very much outside of ourselves. And what I've found too, by, you know, engaging in this practice and tuning back into my breath, is that this realization and understanding that it has to occur within first before we can then pour out and really show up in our world the way that we want to. So what I'll ask you to do now is you can pause the video if you need to. I would recommend using the restroom if you feel like you need to. You need to find just a comfortable place to lie down. That could be in your bed, that could be on the floor. I recommend having a blanket and to allow yourself to be in a space where you feel really comfortable releasing emotion. And, you know, it is helpful for it to be quiet, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So just do your best to find that kind of spot, and we are going to begin. So lying down flat on your back, and as we begin to breathe, I'm going to explain the breath. So it's a 2-part inhale and a 1-part exhale. And combined, that's the 2-part pranayama. So as you inhale, you're going to inhale into your belly. Everything's done with your mouth open. So it sounds like this. So inhale to your belly, inhale to your lungs, exhale. Inhale in your belly, inhale in your lungs, exhale. So it sounds like this. You're doing this lying flat. And so just begin your breath, and I will cue you as we are breathing. And so just inhale, inhale, exhale. Continuing that breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Your mouth is open the whole time. Eyes are closed, or you have an eye pillow on. Breathing. Continue your breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Your mouth is open. Continuing your breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Keep breathing. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Beginning to feel your energy moving in your body as you're breathing. Mouth is open. Inhale, inhale, exhale. And breathe. Keep breathing. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Just imagining the expansion happening in your body as you're breathing. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Continue your breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. And so we're going to do a little releasing as we're moving through this practice. So on the count of 3, you're going to place your hands, you're going to cup your hands together, placing them over your mouth. And I want you to scream, to yell into your hands. You can also place a pillow over your mouth if you want to, if you have that near you. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. I want you to scream as loud as you can into your hands. Yelling, yelling, and then pause. 1, 2, 3. Do it again. Beautiful. Once more, taking a breath. 1, 2, 3. Yelling into your hands or into the pillow. And then release, letting your hands come back beside you, lying flat on the floor. Coming back to your breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Mouth is open. Beautiful. You're so close. Keep breathing. Using your breath, your prana, your life force. Breathing, inhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. You're getting so close. Continue your breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. As you move into this last little bit of breath work together, as you're inhaling, I want you to imagine your lungs expanding. As you come to that place in your breath in where you're breathing into your lungs, really imagining that lung and heart space expanding, but not only to the front. I want you to imagine it expanding to the sides, through your back, releasing any grief you might be holding on to, any hardness in our heart. Taking a deep breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. See if you can deepen that breath. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Inhale, inhale, exhale. Beautiful. And then slowly and gently letting your breath return to normal. A normal rising and falling. Inhale, exhale. You may feel the need to breathe in through your nose and release through your mouth, whatever feels best to you. You can gently and slowly bring your knees up toward your chest, squeezing your knees in towards your chest and rocking side to side. And then when you are ready, just gently rolling over to your right side and just notice your breath here. Notice your breath, breathing in and out. Notice your breath, reconnection to self, reconnection to heart. And then as you feel ready, you can gently push yourself up, coming to an easy seated posture, an easy seated pose, letting your hands just rest to your knees, closing your eyes, taking a breath here, and exhale. And then just bringing one hand up to your heart space. And you can just repeat out loud, I honor you with love and compassion. I honor you with love and compassion. I honor you with love and compassion. Bringing your hands together at your heart space, gently dropping your chin. I want to thank you for letting me hold space, allowing me to hold space for you to breathe, to release, to reconnect, to balance. Take a breath in. Thank you for joining me here in this space. Namaste.